The code was never lost. It was sealed inside you. You've always felt it, a strange pull towards sacred knowledge you couldn't explain, a memory that didn't come from books, but from somewhere deeper, older. Atlantean temples, golden symbols, a voice in the silence, whispering truths you couldn't name. Maybe no one ever told you this, but you didn't find this video by chance. Because before sound, there was frequency. Before language, there was vibration. And before any religion ever existed, there was Hermes Trismegistus. Not a myth, not just a man, but the bridge between worlds. The guardian of the laws that hold reality together. The 7 principles, the foundation of manifestation, the invisible architecture behind everything you experience. What you're about to receive is not new. It's ancient, Atlantean, and it's not here to teach you something. It's here to help you remember, because the lost code of Atlantis was never truly lost. It was sealed inside your field. And now, it's time to awaken it. Chapter 1. Reality has always been mental, and deep down, you always knew it. You've always suspected it. That something was deeply wrong with the way you were taught to see reality. They told you the world is solid, that facts are objective, that you are just a body, living on a planet at the mercy of chance. But what if all of that was just a well-structured illusion? What if the reality you know isn't something external, but a coded response to your internal frequency? This is the first Hermetic law, the foundation of all spiritual creation. All is mind. The universe is mental. Reality is a living mirror of consciousness. The ancient Atlanteans knew this. Long before quantum science, long before religions ruled the world, the masters of Atlantis taught that the universe was not physical, it was symbolic, and that the mind was the matrix of all things. The mind of the Creator, the mind of the All, and by extension, your own mind. You are not inside a random universe. You are inside the mind of God. Mentalism, the core code. The law of mentalism states that everything that exists, galaxies, planets, emotions, thoughts, events, is a vibrational manifestation of the primordial mind. You are not observing reality. You are projecting it. Your thoughts are commands. Your beliefs are algorithms. Your emotions are vibrational codes that shape the field around you. The field doesn't judge you. It reflects you. The illusion of separation. The greatest lie of the modern world is this: that you are separate from what happens to you, that there is life out there acting independently of you. But if all is mind, nothing happens outside your vibration. The scarcity you live is not financial, it's mental. The emotional patterns you repeat aren't karma, they're unconscious programming. The mind is the temple where everything begins, and also the portal through which everything can be transmuted. Science is catching up late. Today, quantum physics talks about the observer effect. When a conscious presence is watching, matter behaves differently. That's recent in science, but it's ancient in Hermeticism. Atlantis already taught. What you perceive responds to what you vibrate. Reprogramming starts within. Want to change your reality? Stop trying to fix the outside world. Correct the center. Align the source. Rewrite the matrix. You're living the effects of thoughts you once accepted as truth. And you can change everything by transforming your inner narrative. There is no true spiritual transformation without mental and vibrational reprogramming. Now, just feel these phrases. They weren't meant to be understood. They were meant to be remembered. You're not in a body. You're in a field. Your mind is the matrix. Your field is the brush. Your life is the painting. Everything that vibrates within writes itself out there. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you've already accepted as real. Chapter 2. What is above is within, and it has always been so. There's something the ancient Atlanteans understood, something our modern world forgot. Reality is a mirror, and you are both the image and the source. We were taught to fix the world, to chase answers, control people, adjust circumstances, but that was always backwards, because nothing out there is separate from what is moving in here. This is the second Hermetic law, the Law of Correspondence. As above, so below, but also as within, so without. The mirror principle. Everything around you, your relationships, your body, your finances, your emotional patterns, is a mirror of your vibration. Not a punishment, not a judgment, a reflection, a cosmic echo of everything you've been thinking, believing, suppressing, accepting. The outer world is not random. It is the sacred technology of your soul showing you what needs to be remembered. This is not spiritual poetry. This is spiritual mechanics. Atlantis and the field of reflection. In the temples of Atlantis, there were no confessions. There were mirrors. Initiates would sit in stillness, and the walls around them would begin to shimmer, projecting visions, memories, fears, even desires they weren't aware of. It wasn't magic. It was the law of correspondence, in motion. The world didn't speak through words. It spoke through reflections. And today, that law still governs your life, silently, perfectly, unrelentingly. What you refuse to see becomes your reality. You can only change what you're willing to look at, not with shame, but with consciousness. If your life feels chaotic, ask yourself, where am I chaotic inside? If others don't respect your boundaries, ask, where have I disrespected myself? If love feels distant, ask, where did I abandon my own heart? Because every pattern in your external life began as a frequency in your internal field. The body is also a correspondence. Even your body is a living mirror. Every symptom, a message. Every tension, a blocked current. Every illness, an unresolved pattern seeking release. The Atlanteans used sound and vibration to realign the inner temple because they knew the body is not the enemy. It is the amplifier of the soul's frequency. You don't need to control the world. Just tune yourself. When your inner state changes, everything realigns. People change. Opportunities appear. The random begins to feel orchestrated. That's not coincidence. That's correspondence. The outer world does not resist your frequency. It simply translates it into form. Now, just feel these phrases. They weren't meant to be understood. They were meant to be remembered. The world isn't happening to you. It's happening from you. Reality isn't solid. It's symbolic. Everything you judge in others is a vibration you haven't healed in yourself. When you shift your inner field, the mirror changes without resistance. You are not a victim of the mirror. You are the source of the reflection. Chapter 3. Nothing is still. Everything vibrates, including you. What if I told you? You're not attracting what you want. You're attracting what you are. You don't manifest with your wishes. You manifest with your vibration. This is the third Hermetic law, the law of vibration. Everything is frequency. Everything moves. Everything pulses, even what seems still. Even silence has a tone. Even stillness has a rhythm. In the Atlantean temples, reality was not built with stone. It was sculpted with vibration. Atlanteans understood that the material world is not the origin. It is the echo. They didn't pray for things. They aligned their vibration to what already existed in the quantum field. Through tone, breath, and sacred geometry, they tuned their bodies and minds like living instruments, and watched reality respond without resistance. That was manifestation in its purest form, vibration made visible. Your field is always attracting, whether you know it or not. You can't stop emitting frequency, even in doubt, even in fear, even in silence. You are always vibrating, always radiating, always broadcasting your inner state into the quantum field. And that field is always listening. You may say, I want peace, I want abundance, I want purpose. But if what you're vibrating is fear, lack, or confusion, what comes back is not what you want, but what you are in that moment. The law doesn't care what you say, only what you radiate. The field doesn't respond to language, it responds to resonance, not to what you wish, but to what your nervous system believes is safe, to what your heart has made familiar, to what your energy carries as default. And that's why people stay stuck, because they repeat affirmations without shifting vibration. You are an instrument. Tune yourself first. Just like a harp that's out of tune won't produce beauty, a misaligned soul can't manifest coherence. The key is not to force, the key is to tune. When your frequency matches the reality you desire, resistance disappears. Opportunities feel effortless. Decisions become clear. Synchronicities accelerate. Not because you manipulated the outside, but because you aligned your inside. How to raise your vibration? You don't need expensive tools. You need presence, stillness, breath, nature, water, light, music that moves you, gratitude spoken out loud, art created from your silence. Atlanteans knew raising frequency was not about doing more, it was about becoming less noisy inside. Now, just feel these phrases. They weren't meant to be understood, they were meant to be remembered. You don't manifest with words, you manifest with frequency. The field doesn't hear what you say, it hears what you vibrate. The stronger the resonance, the faster the reality. You are not waiting for alignment. You are alignment, waiting to be remembered. Your life is just your vibration, made visible. Chapter 4. There are no opposites, only poles of the same essence. Everything you call opposite is actually the same thing in a different vibration. This is the fourth Hermetic law, the Law of Polarity. Light and shadow, fear and love, stillness and chaos. They are not enemies, they are frequencies on the same spectrum. Atlantean alchemy wasn't about control, it was about transmutation. In Atlantis, initiates were taught that you don't fight darkness, you raise its frequency. You don't reject the shadow, you give it light. The great secret of Atlantean transmutation wasn't in external rituals, but in the ability to shift energy from one pole to another, without denial, without resistance, without violence. Real alchemy is not about turning lead into gold, it's about turning rage into clarity, pain into awakening, fear into movement. The scale of consciousness. Cold is not the opposite of heat, it's less heat. Darkness is not the opposite of light, it's the absence of light. Likewise, hatred is not separate from love, it's love wounded. Jealousy is not separate from admiration, it's admiration infected by fear. Chaos is not disorder, it's a frequency you haven't yet decoded. Polarity teaches, you don't need to eliminate the negative, you need to shift the degree. You are not stuck, you're just frozen at one pole. When you feel trapped in sadness, it's not your truth. It's your current position on the emotional spectrum. And the moment you remember you can move, you activate your sovereignty. The Atlanteans didn't ask, how do I get rid of this? They asked, how do I lift the vibration of this? That shift in question changed everything. Because once you realize that all states are movable, nothing has power over you anymore. The shadow is a dormant ally. Everything you fear about yourself is just energy waiting to be refined. Your jealousy hides your longing for connection. Your anxiety contains your hunger for presence. Your rage carries the seed of courage you haven't embodied yet. Polarity doesn't ask you to deny yourself. It asks you to remember. There is gold in your shadow, if you know how to look. Now, just feel these phrases. They weren't meant to be understood. They were meant to be remembered. There are no opposites, only frequencies waiting to be moved. You don't need to fight your darkness. You just need to give it direction. Pain is not a mistake. It's energy asking to be refined. Alchemy isn't about destruction. It's about transmutation. Your shadow is not your enemy. It's your potential, not yet awakened. Chapter 5. The universe breathes, and so do you. You're not meant to be constant. You're not broken because you have lows. You're not failing because things slow down. You're simply inside a universe that moves like a tide. This is the fifth Hermetic law, the law of rhythm. Everything flows, everything rises and falls, everything in nature breathes. The ocean has its tides, the moon has her phases, the heart has its pulse. So why would you be any different? Wasn't linear, it was cyclical. In Atlantis, time was not a straight line, it was a spiral. Life wasn't measured in hours, but in waves. Expansion was celebrated, but contraction was honored, because contraction wasn't the opposite of progress. It was the rooting of energy before the next ascension. They knew what most people forget. The valley is sacred. The pause is sacred. The silence is part of the music. Why you feel like you're going backward? Have you ever felt like you took one step forward, only to take 2 steps back? That sensation is familiar to every soul on the path. And yet, it's an illusion. The soul doesn't move in a straight line. It moves in spirals. You're not repeating the same place. You're revisiting it from a new altitude. What once devastated you now only echoes. What once defined you now dissolves with grace. That is the spiral of consciousness. That is evolution hidden inside repetition. Don't judge the cycle, read the message. Every low season carries a whisper. Every retreat is preparation. Every stillness is sacred gestation. When life slows down, ask, what is being rearranged within me? When your energy contracts, ask, what is trying to ground itself deeper in my soul? Because life is not always about acceleration. Sometimes it's about alignment. Rhythm is not your enemy. It is your instrument. The initiates of Atlantis were taught to move with the rhythm, not against it. When they felt the tides shifting, they adjusted their frequency, not their worth. And that's the wisdom most people never learn. When you're tired, you're not lazy. When you're still, you're not behind. When you're lost, you're not failing. You're simply in rhythm. Now, just feel these phrases. They weren't meant to be understood. They were meant to be remembered. You are not falling behind. You're entering a sacred pause. The soul doesn't move in lines, it moves in spirals. Even the inhale must become an exhale. Even the light must rest. Your stillness is not the absence of growth, it is the root of it. The rhythm is not random, it's the pulse of your evolution. Chapter 6. Nothing is random, everything is caused. What if I told you that what you call destiny is just a collection of causes you no longer remember setting in motion? That the moments that feel unfair, disconnected, or undeserved are actually responses, energetic echoes of your own vibration, past or present. This is the 6th Hermetic law, the law of cause and effect. There is no chaos, only causes we forgot. You are not a puppet of invisible forces, you are a transmitter, and the universe is exact. Every thought you repeated, every belief you allowed, every emotion you recycled in silence became a seed. And seeds don't ask for permission. They grow, silently, patiently, relentlessly. Atlantis knew, nothing grows without root. In the Atlantean temples, initiates were taught to trace events backwards, from visible outcomes to subtle intentions. They were trained to ask, where in me was this planted? Not as guilt, but as sovereignty. Because once you remember the seed, you remember your power. Karma is not punishment, it is physics. The word karma has been distorted. It's not a divine punishment, it's a vibrational equation. You emit, the field responds, you broadcast, reality echoes. Not because you're good or bad, but because you are magnetic. Your reality isn't personal, it's precise. Every choice is a command. You may think the big decisions shape your life, but it's the small, repeated ones that reprogram your path. The emotion you let linger after a conversation, the voice you believe when no one's watching, the internal dialogue you allow every morning, the things you tolerate in silence. These are the real causes, and they are writing your timeline. You don't need to undo the past. You need to plant differently now. If today is the harvest of yesterday's vibration, then tomorrow is still unwritten. The law of cause and effect doesn't trap you, it liberates you. Because once you become aware of it, you stop reacting and start creating. Your future isn't built through control, it's built through clarity. Now, just feel these phrases. They weren't meant to be understood. They were meant to be remembered. Destiny is just cause, disguised as mystery. The universe isn't random, it's precise. You are not at the mercy of reality. You are its author. Karma is not punishment. It's vibration returning to its source. To change your life, don't fight the harvest. Change the seed. Chapter 7. The sacred code is already within you. It is masculine and feminine. The final key in the Atlantean code is also the most forgotten. Not because it's hidden, but because we've been conditioned to live out of balance. This is the 7th Hermetic law, the law of gender. And no, it has nothing to do with biology. It is about energy. Everything that exists contains two principles, the masculine and the feminine, the active and the receptive, the directive and the magnetic. Nothing is created without both. In Atlantis, creation was union, not control. The Atlanteans knew creation didn't begin with doing, it began with balancing. They didn't worship gods, they embodied forces. The masculine was not dominance, it was direction. The feminine was not passivity, it was presence. One moved forward, the other held the space for form to emerge. Together, they activated the field of Genesis. Inside you, a forgotten union. You are not just action, you are not just intuition, you are both. You are a temple with two fires. Your masculine energy is the one that moves, initiates, structures, expresses. It's your fire, your voice, your sun. Your feminine energy is the one that receives, feels, intuits, gestates. It's your depth, your silence, your moon. Most people live out of sync with one side, overextending the masculine into burnout, or collapsing into the feminine and avoiding movement. But when the two unite, creation becomes effortless. The feminine dreams it. The masculine builds it. You want to manifest something? Don't just visualize it. Gestate it. Nurture it with feeling. Let it grow roots in the womb of your vibration. And when it's ready, act with precision. That is gender in motion. That is the intermarriage of power and grace. Atlantean initiates were trained to enter this sacred marriage within themselves, because only then could they create realities that didn't self-destruct. Balance is not 50-50, it's harmony. Some days you will need more silence. Other days, more fire. Some cycles ask you to feel, others to move. True spiritual mastery isn't found in always being the same, but in knowing when to shift and how. This final law is not a conclusion. It is a threshold, the moment where energy becomes form, where thought becomes world, where frequency becomes creation. You are not incomplete. You are simply waiting to reunite with your forgotten half. Now, just feel these phrases. They weren't meant to be understood. They were meant to be remembered. You are both fire and silence, sun and moon. Creation begins when the masculine and feminine dance as one. You don't need more force. You need inner harmony. The feminine holds, the masculine shapes. Together, they manifest. You are not divided. You are waiting to remember your inner union. Final activation. The lost code of Atlantis was never lost. It was hidden inside you. If you're still here, it means something ancient within you has been awakened, not learned, but remembered. This was never just a video. It was a mirror, a frequency, a signal from the part of you that always knew that life isn't random, it's coded. And now, you've seen the code. You've remembered the 7 laws. You've walked through the temples of Atlantis once more, not as history, but as vibration. So now, let's anchor this in your field. This is not an ending. It's an activation. Comment below, "I remembered the code." Let this phrase be your seal, your key, your silent broadcast to the field. Share this video with someone you feel is also ready to remember. You already know who it is. Subscribe, because this isn't content. It's a journey, and it's just beginning. The lost code of Atlantis was never lost. It was simply waiting inside you, and now it's awake.